Why introduce it this late in the session? Do you think it can come to enactment during lame duck before the end of the year?
Well, yeah, and I'll have a couple comments on that. We've had some. This is an important issue right now. There's a lot of attention on it, and I think that it is a good time for us to come together, do the right thing here, and put this program in place that 37 other states have, and it's long overdue that women in Ohio have this same protection. There is a lot of talk of things that could happen when we come back into session. We believe this is very important, especially as this has been a real topic of conversation nationally and in our state, and we hope that we can work together and move forward. Unfortunately, we introduced it last General Assembly, and it didn't even receive a second hearing. So we hope that the environment is different, the situation will be different this time, and we can move forward and do the right thing here.
And to add to what Representative Clyde has just said, it's always the right time to do the right thing. Time doesn't run out on doing the right thing. And as both Representative Clyde and the Director have talked about over a series of General Assemblies, there have been various leaders from both sides of the aisle who have tried to push this program. And noting, and I hope you all note very strongly, that Governor Taft did push this as Secretary of State. So as Representative Clyde had talked about the synergy of the timing right now about the national discussion and what is going on, we do hope that this will hasten. This is about political will. This is not about the General Assembly not having enough time. It really is about whether the leadership in the General Assembly have the political will to do the right thing and to do it now. There are countless pieces of legislation that get rammed through the General Assembly on a regular basis. Some, make absolutely no sense, but this one is a big deal for lots of women and their families and communities in the great state of Ohio, and it's time for the state of Ohio to be the 38th state. So again, we can do this if we're willing to do this. This is not a matter of time. This is a matter of whether or not the leadership has the courage to do the right thing right now.
Is the ACP used exclusively for victims of domestic violence, or are there other uses that would be included into that?
Yeah, it's mainly domestic violence, which encompasses stalking, harassment, and then violent situations. People that have had a court proceeding that has found their abuser guilty, people who have a protection order against that abuser, or people who live in reasonable fear that their life is in danger if their address is known by their abuser.
So does this also include if somebody's a victim of maybe child abuse, and then when they become 18, would they be able to get onto that too, or?
I think it's just victims in general and their children, but absolutely if someone feels like their lives are in danger, they can apply for this program. And again, you ask questions that, through the process of talking this through, if we get some real hearings and some real movement, we can discuss some of these concerns and other concerns that people might bring up. I think that's a very reasonable question.
What feedback did you get from committee or chamber leadership last year, whether formal or anecdotal, as to why this did not go beyond the first year?
I'm not real sure about that. I did the sponsor testimony. There were questions from the committee. There were Republicans who signed on to co-sponsor, as there are again this General Assembly. So I think that it just unfortunately was not a priority for leadership at the time, and we hope things will be different this General Assembly and over the coming months.
Has the legislation changed in any way since the last version last year?
No, we introduced identical legislation to what was passed, or we will be introducing. I believe we're ready to do that today, Senator, and certainly in the coming days. We have the legislation identical to what unanimously passed the House and the 128th General Assembly. We had the support then. It wasn't controversial. We offer the same bill and hope for a swift passage and the same unanimous support.
What's the cost to administer it? Is there an estimate?
It's minimal. I mean, it would be handled in the elections division of the Secretary of State's office, but the cost is absolutely minimal. It'll be part of the process of what the elections professionals do within the Secretary of State's office. But I think, just to push your question out, further or deeper, is really what is the cost to the victim, and what is our responsibility as policymakers to make sure that we do everything that we can. I think the women and or victims who, in rare cases may not necessarily be women, but any victim of violence, they are worth this investment. The state should make this investment. They're worth it.
Right, and Secretary Jennifer Bruner was another Secretary of State that supported this program, and she believed that she could administer the program with no additional cost, just with existing staff and programs at the Secretary of State's office, so very minimal cost.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you.